Hi everybody, it's really good to see you all again. Today's video is all about roast chicken dinner with all the fixings. It's a big one, it's a long one. So I've done a whole bunch of prep ahead of time just to try and speed it all up, but that also shows you that if you do your prep ahead of time, it's actually a really easy meal to put together. And the reason I wanted you to be able to do this is so that you can take, if you can cook a roast chicken, you can cook a roast turkey. It's just a little bit longer time. So without any further ado, we're gonna get started and yeah, let's get going. So first of all, we talk about brining the chicken. So that's this here. The chicken has been sitting in a bath of salt water and spices for 24 hours. So we're gonna take this out of the brine and let it sit. Then I'm gonna get the dressing started so we can stuff the chicken, get it into the oven, get the roasted vegetables in the oven at the same time, and the potatoes are already cooking, so I can show you how to mash those. Then through the magic of television, we'll pull the cooked chicken out of the oven, we'll make the gravy, and pull it all together so you've got an epic feast. So, salt, brine. What it does is it infuses the bird with flavor and moisture. It's a really good way to cook pork and also chicken. It gives you lots and lots and lots of flavor. It makes your gravy taste really good. It makes your stock, because you can turn this into chicken soup afterwards. So basically it's half a cup of salt to a cup of water, a gallon of water, I should say, plus whatever spices and herbs you want to use. So you've been given oranges and garlic and onions to put in it, which is a really nice combination. A little bit of cumin in there is good. Really, trust your palate. By now you've gotten to be really good with spices and stuff. So we're gonna drain this and just pop it over here. One chicken, in we go. Oh, that's my oven heating up. Telling me it's all ready. Okay, always when you're using raw chicken, wash your hands. The last thing you want to do is get salmonella anywhere. Okay, so we've got that started. Now we're going to do the dressing, stuffing, whatever you want to call it. So in your frying pan, you're going to melt some butter. I like a fair bit. That goes in there. I've got, everything's all nicely chopped up. Onions, celery. Really, size-wise, it's up to you. My family likes a fairly fine dressing, so I've chopped it up quite small. You can chop it up big and chunky if you like. Up to you. Onions go in there, and we start sauteing these. So really what you're trying to do is make them cook it until the onions are translucent. Remember, we've talked about that term. So give them a little going over there, get them started. And also, there's all my breadcrumbs. I got these all done ahead of time for you as well. Bread, white bread, whole wheat bread, sourdough bread, cranberry bread, raisin bread's really good to have a little bit of sweetness in there. So you chop it, slice it up into pieces about that size. You can see, like the size of a loonie is a good. So now you can keep it fresh, or you can let it sit out overnight to dry it out a little bit. If you want, you can toast it a little bit, put it in the oven and toast it. Really, it's up to you. And again, also whatever kind of bread you like too, really, is okay. This particular one happens to be brioche, so my stuffing is going to have a little bit of spice to it. Oh, my coffee pot's finishing up. I'm going to have a cup of coffee after this is all done. So we're yummy cooking away here. Now, if you want to add garlic to it, you can. I've chosen not to put any garlic in this. But you can see it's cooking away there. Lots and lots of butter is the order of the day for this. Because really you want something nice and moist when it goes into your chicken. So we're good there. We're also going to add a little bit of poultry seasoning to this. So this is poultry seasoning. It's a blend of sage, thyme, marjoram, rosemary. The really critical spice to it is sage. So if you don't have poultry seasoning but you have sage, you can certainly use that. So we're going to get that in there. That's what gives it that stuffing taste, is the sage, and also gives it the amazing smell. Oh, look at this. You don't have to cook it a whole lot, because don't forget it is going inside your chicken, which means it's going to get cooked even more. It's just to get it started. So now I'm going to add the bread. So in goes the bread. We get that all mixed in. And the bread soaks up some of that butter. All yummy and tasty. Okay. You see it's all soaked all that up. Because really you don't want to use fresh bread for this. You want stale bread. It's another one of those recipes that I've given you what you can, good for stale bread. This is actually a really good start for a savory bread pudding. And I know you know how to make those. Okay, so now we've got that all mixed in. The next step is to add the stock. So, chicken stock. In my case, I'm actually going to use vegetable stock because, we have a vegetarian in the family, and I will cook her dressing separately because she's not going to eat the chicken. So, sometimes you need a lot, sometimes you need a little. It really just depends on how much this absorbs. And I think we're going to need the full cup for this. So let's get that all in there. You want it moist, but you don't want it gummy. So, as I said, you can use any bread you want, but really stay away, if you can, stay away from the really heavily processed Wonder Bread kind of stuff, because that will tend to make it quite gummy, which is just nasty for stuffing. Okay, so now we're going to taste it, because you want to adjust your flavor, as always, with a little salt, pepper, that kind of thing. Maybe it needs a little more poultry seasoning. It's up to you. I don't think it needs any more poultry seasoning. I do think it needs a wee little bit of salt. So just a little bit of salt in there, a little bit of pepper, not too much though. Okay. And there you have stuffing, dressing. See how easy that was? Okay, we're going to turn it off. Now we're going to stuff our chicken. So, roasting dish. I'm using a glass one. If you have a metal one, that's great. Doesn't really matter. We've got the chicken. Sometimes they're tied together. This one is tied together with an elastic band. I'm going to take that off. They package them like that because it keeps it all together, but it also makes it really hard. See, now it just kind of flopped. So this is the cavity we're going to stuff. The back end of the chicken, this is the front end, there's the neck. So we're gonna get a spoon and we're gonna stuff this puppy. Now, you do not want to overstuff it. Pack it quite loosely in here. Goes in nice like that. You probably won't get all your stuffing in your turkey, or your chicken, I should say. But what you can do is put this into a baking dish and bake it alongside, or after you take your chicken out, you can put the rest of the stuffing back in to heat up. That actually is a really nice way to offer up more stuffing. So I'm just going to put this in here for now so we can move on. Just set it aside. I'll deal with it later. Later. Okay. Now, to get the bird ready for the oven. Remember we talked about putting it into a 450 degree oven. So you want to preheat your oven. And you want it really hot to start with because A, it makes it cook faster. And what you're going to do is put it in the thing. Now you can take the wings and tuck them under, like that. They've been tucked under. Then you're going to cover it with a little bit of foil because with a 450 degree oven, it could overbrown. So you tent it with foil. That stops it from brown too much. You'll remove the foil later when you turn the oven down so that you get that beautiful golden brown color. So it's going into the oven. I gotta move something first. So I'm taking out the roast veggies, which I haven't showed you how to prepare yet, but they're done. And I am taking out the chicken I cooked ahead of time. So there's your beautiful roasted chicken. Now, we talk about if you've read your recipe ahead of time, letting it sit and rest. That's really important because that redistributes the juices back through the turkey so that when you cut into it, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. When you cut into it, all the juices stay in the turkey instead of running out. So, we're gonna let this sit over here. You can see some of the juices in the bottom of the pan. We want those. You add those to the gravy later. So, speaking of gravy, oh, I forgot one thing. We gotta do our veggies. I have peeled them and cut them up ahead of time. So we have here butternut squash. Believe it or not, these are sweet potatoes. These are Japanese sweet potatoes, so they're white. Roasted, and carrots and onions. So what we're gonna do with these is toss them with some olive oil and some chili. And we're gonna put them in the oven with the chicken. Unless you got your A game on and you do them ahead of time. The day before is what I do when I'm cooking a big turkey dinner. And then I put them in the oven after I've taken the chicken out to rest. And that just warms them up nicely. So you toss them all with the oil. Okay. A little bit of chili powder, which is nice. Salt. Always salt. A little bit of salt into a pan and pop these into the oven too. In they go. Now we can make the gravy. So with the gravy, you take all the juice from the chicken. This is still too hot to handle. All the pan drippings, and then you start to heat those, and you thicken them with a little bit of flour. So we're gonna do that. Here's our flour. yeah, I've given you all measurements. I've done this so many times I don't need measurements. I just kind of do it. So, but if you follow my instructions, it will work. So, thicken this with flour. It'll heat up and it'll start to get really, really thick. Okay. And then, once it starts to thicken, you add your stock. And that's what gives you your gravy flavor. So in this case, oopsie, I need chicken stock, not vegetable stock. So you can see it getting thicker. Look at that. Turn this down a little bit. It's really important that you cook it so that, oh, it's my oven coming to temperature, so that you get the taste of the flour cooked out, because you don't want it to taste all floury. So there's my stock. I use a liquid one, or I mean a paste one, but you've got some powdered stock which you can use. That'll work really well. Sometimes I'll use the potato water too. That gives you lots of extra flavor. So then you mix in your water, a little bit at a time, because you don't want lumpy gravy. That would be just nasty. Okay. If you need to, you can use a whisk. That's a really good tool to use, because that helps get your lumps out. No more lumps. Now we're just going to let this cook and thicken a little bit more. We may have to add more water. You can always, as I said, use your potato waters are really good. Because the nice thing about using the potato water is that it gives you a little extra starch. And of course, because you salted the water when you were cooking the potatoes, it gives it flavor too. Let's see how our potatoes are doing. So you'll notice everything's kind of happening all at once. I have every confidence in you all that you can manage this. Those potatoes are almost done, which is great. Gravy's coming along nicely. Needs to be thinned a little bit, so I am going to use some of the potato water. This is how I do it. A little bit of potato water in there. Give it a couple more minutes to cook, because again, we want that flour taste cooked right out of there. Okay, that's coming along well. While we're waiting for that to simmer, I want to show you the roasted veggies. This is what they look like when they come out of the oven. See that beautiful caramelization that's going on? And then when they're ready, you just drizzle them with a little bit of honey to finish them all off. And then you get delicious, spicy, sweet, yummy roasted veggies. So that is how easy that is. Those are delicious. You can serve those with pride. Look at our gravy's boiling away here. Another thing we need to taste. So let's get a spoon. See how that flavor's coming. Turn that down. Gotta be careful, this is gonna be hot. Oh, hello, Remy and Luna have come for a visit. Good gravy. Honestly, that potato water in there makes a huge difference. So if you can think about it ahead of time, prepare for that. So now, I'm gonna move that out of the way. Potatoes, we're gonna drain them and then put them back on the flame for a minute or two because that will dry them out. So we've got all the potato water we want out of there so we can drain the rest off. And the secret to fluffy mashed potatoes is dry mashed potatoes. So put those back on the heat for a minute or two. Keep an eye on them so they don't stick to the bottom. Our gravy is good. It's sitting there nicely. We're gonna stir these up a little bit so that they dry out. Kind of starts to break them up too, which makes them easier to mash. You can see where they're dry and where they're still a bit wet. You see the difference? They look a little whiter. These are yellow potatoes. You, I think, have russets. So that's good there. We're gonna get some butter in there now. Big knob of butter. Butter, margarine, whatever you've got. And then some cream. A little bit of cream. And you need your potato masher, which I have here. And then you just start mashing your spuds. Now you can mash them as coarsely or as finely as you like. I like a chunky mashed potato. Lots of people don't. So mash, 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 mash. Clean the potato masher. Check again for salt and pepper. Maybe you want them a little creamier, so you add a little more milk or a little more butter or cream, whatever you're using. You know, one thing that I do use for mashed potatoes, that's what my mom always used to use, was canned milk of all things. That's how I started eating them. Nice thing about canned milk is that you've always got it in the fridge, or in the cupboard, I should say. And it makes a really creamy mashed potato. So let's have a taste here and see. Oh, they need salt. Oh, they need salt. Where did I put my salt shaker? Here it is. Absolutely need salt. Pepper. And I'm going to put an extra knob of butter in too, just because I happen to like a lot of butter in my potatoes. So in goes another knob of butter. And then we're going to mix them up because they're already mashed, so we can just stir this in. The butter will melt through. You can see it there. Okay, see how that tastes now. Much better. That's what they needed. Always taste as you go. Okay, so my lovelies, there is your chicken dinner. See how fast that was? I mean, obviously the chicken's got to roast yet, but we've already done this one over here. So we can take it. It's beautifully rested now. we can take it out and put it on the carving board. Put the little bit of juice that's in here back into our gravy. Don't want to waste any of that flavor. Stir that in. And that, my friends, is how you cook a roast chicken dinner with all the trimmings. You've got roasted veggies, you've got chicken, you've got gravy, you've got stuffing, you've got mashed potatoes. You've got a veritable feast on your hands. So let me know how it goes for you. I can't wait to see your pictures, and enjoy it, okay? Bye.